The year was 1987. Audiences were finally getting used to seeing truly great science fiction and fantasy films like RoboCop and The Princess Bride, and Canon Films was desperate. They had acquired the rights to adapt one of the most beloved toy lines and animated series of the decade. They had a built in audience of millions of children, and when they pitched the film to financiers, they described it as the Star Wars of the 80s. Ambition at Canon was never burdened by self awareness. Canon Films, run by Israeli cousins Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus, had spent a decade churning out low-budget action films with commercial instinct and artistic indifference in roughly equal measure, and by the mid-1980s, the bill had come due. They needed a phenomenon, and Masters of the Universe was their bet. And along with Superman 4: The Quest for Peace, these were the swings that were supposed to save the company. Both films flopped, and that was effectively the beginning of the end for Canon Films. But before we get to the failure, let's talk about what they actually made. Masters of the Universe was written by David Odell, who had previously written the screenplays for The Dark Crystal and the 1984 Supergirl film, which at least suggests a writer with imagination. And he was teamed with the first and last time director whose entire previous experience consisted of theme park 3D attractions and dark rides. It starred Dolph Lundgren, a Swedish giant who had just had his breakout role 3 years earlier as the near-wordless Soviet killing machine Ivan Drago in Rocky IV, and who brought to He-Man approximately the same emotional range. Which is to say, very little. The film opened in August 1987, and failed to come anywhere near contemporaries such as RoboCop or The Princess Bride. Critically, commercially, or by most conventional measures of cinematic achievement. And yet, there is something here worth talking about. Lundgren's He-Man is the film's central liability, and yet in a perverse way, one of its unintentional pleasures. He's not acting so much as posing, a live-action cartoon character of such magnificent blankness that his own comrades mock him openly, and he receives their mockery as a form of praise. When Man-at-Arms sarcastically outlines an insane plan involving fighting off thousands of Skeletor's troops, He-Man responds with an enthusiastic, "Right!" He has not registered the sarcasm, or he would not have been troubled by it if he had. A hero of such unreflective, uncomplicated virtue that he becomes against all odds unintentionally endearing. Lundgren himself, who certainly can't be said to have had the best time making the film, has at least said that it was a fun movie, a kid's movie, and there's nothing wrong with it. And he's correct on both counts. But here's where the film did something genuinely, surprisingly right. Frank Langella's Skeletor is one of the most purely enjoyable villain performances in 1980s fantasy cinema. Langella is a great actor, and he knows this material is beneath him. He has decided that if he is going to wear a skull mask in a Canon Films production, he is going to wear it with the full commitment of a classical performance, delivering one-liners with the relish of a Shakespearean actor who's wandered into the wrong film and decided to dominate it anyway. Langella once said that Skeletor was among his favorite roles, and that he couldn't wait to play the part, and every frame confirms it. His performance alone is worth the price of admission. The film was made for just $22 million. The Earth-set premise was not an artistic choice, but a budgetary one. Building the full scope of Eternia simply was not possible. Castle Grayskull's throne room, with its towering statues and Hell Pit architecture, is genuinely impressive for what it cost, and the costumes are excellent throughout. But make no mistake, Masters of the Universe from 1987 is absolutely not a good film. I want to be clear about that. It's definitely not RoboCop or The Princess Bride. It is a $22 million Canon Films production in which a Swedish bodybuilder plays a cartoon hero with the emotional depth of a golden retriever, while a classically trained stage actor commits completely to delivering Shakespearean one-liners through a skull mask. And the majority of the film takes place in suburban California because they ran out of money to build the rest of Eternia. The movie was a box office failure and helped hasten Canon's eventual collapse, along with the concurrent disaster of Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. David Odell, despite the truly great earlier films he'll always be most recognized for his involvement with, went on to direct the somehow even worse sci-fi comedy Martians Go Home in 1989 before retiring from Hollywood entirely. But here's the thing about bad films made with genuine conviction. They are never boring. Masters of the Universe knows what it is, and it does not pretend otherwise. And within the severe limitations of what it is, it delivers a quantity of absurdist entertainment that its more ambitious contemporaries occasionally failed to match. 39 years later, a new live action Masters of the Universe is arriving this weekend, directed by Bumblebee's Travis Knight, with more resources and the accumulated lessons of 4 decades of superhero cinema. Before you see it, or perhaps after, there is something to be said for revisiting the attempt that came before. Not because it's good, but because it is, in its own magnificently misguided way, completely, irreducibly unforgettable. Travis Knight's new adaptation of Masters of the Universe is in theaters this weekend, and my full review of it will be coming very soon. Subscribe to Fandom Frontline so you don't miss it. And let me know in the comments, is the 1987 film a guilty pleasure for you? And how excited are you for the new one?